Everyday English Podcast
by English Talking Today.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to English Talking Today. My name is Mary. Whether you're listening on your road, watching while you have your morning coffee, or studying late at night, I'm really glad we get to spend this time together. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most fundamental, one of the most important, and sometimes one of the most nerve-wracking topics for any English learner, talking about yourself. You know that moment, right? You meet someone new, maybe at a party, at a new job, or in a new class, and they turn to you, smile, and say, "So, tell me about yourself." And in that moment, your mind can just go completely blank. What should I say? Where do I start? Is what I'm saying interesting? It's a universal feeling, I promise. But my goal for today is to give you the tools, the phrases, and the confidence to answer that question smoothly and naturally. We're going to break it down into simple, manageable pieces so that the next time someone asks you about yourself, you'll be ready. We're going to cover everything from your name and where you're from, to your family, your work, and even how to describe your personality. Think of this as building your personal introduction toolkit. So, grab a notebook if you'd like, or just relax and listen. Let's get started. Let's begin with the absolute first thing you say when you meet someone, your name. This seems so simple, and it is, but there are a few ways to do it, and each has a slightly different feel. The most classic, formal, and perfectly correct way to introduce yourself is to say, "My name is," followed by your name. For example, "Hello, my name is Mary." You can't go wrong with this. It's polite, it's clear, and it's perfect for any situation, whether it's a job interview or just meeting a new neighbor. A slightly more common and casual way, especially in everyday conversation, is to use I'm. So I would say, "Hi, I'm Mary." It's a little shorter, a little friendlier, and it's what you'll probably hear most native speakers use when they're just chatting. So you have "My name is Mary" and "I'm Mary." Both are 100% correct. You just choose the one that feels most comfortable for you in the moment. Now, what about nicknames? This is a really interesting part of introductions in English-speaking cultures. A nickname is a short or familiar name that friends and family use. For example, someone named Robert might be called Rob or Bob. Someone named Elizabeth might be Liz, Beth, or Eliza. If you have a full name, but most people use a shorter version, you can share that. A great phrase for this is, "My name is your full name, but people call me your nickname." For instance, "My name is Alexander, but people call me Alex." Or, "My name is Chisato, but my friends call me Chisa." This is a wonderful thing to share because it's like an invitation for the other person to be more familiar and friendly with you. It signals that you're comfortable with a more casual relationship. One thing you'll notice in many English-speaking countries, like the US, the UK, or Australia, is that people often move to using shorter, friendlier names very quickly. It's a sign of friendliness, not disrespect. So if you introduce yourself as "My name is William," don't be surprised if the other person says, "Nice to meet you, Will." They're just trying to be warm and welcoming. So, to recap for names, you can say my name is, or I'm, and if you have a nickname, you can add, but people call me, or, but you can call me. Easy, right? You've already started the conversation. Okay, so you've shared your name. What's the next logical question? Usually, it's about where you're from. People are naturally curious about each other's backgrounds. The simplest and most direct way to answer this is with the phrase, I'm from. Your country. For example, I'm from Japan. I'm from Brazil. I'm from Egypt. It's simple, clear, and gives the other person the main piece of information. But what if you want to be a little more specific? Maybe your country is very large or your city is well known. You can easily add your city by saying, I'm from. Your city. It's in. Your country. Let's try that. I'm from Tokyo. It's in Japan. Or I'm from Porto Alegre. It's in Brazil. That little extra detail can often spark a more interesting conversation. The other person might say, oh, Kyoto. I've always wanted to see the temples there. Or Porto Alegre, I've heard it's beautiful. It gives them something more to connect with. Now, there's another common situation. Many of us don't live in the place where we were born. We move for work, for school, or for family. So how do you talk about that? There's a perfect phrase for this. I was born in. Place, but I live in. Place now. This is so useful. For example, you could say, I was born in a small town in Vietnam, but I live in London now. Or, I was born in Seoul, but I've been living in Toronto for the past 5 years. This tells a little story about your life's journey, which is always interesting. Don't be afraid to share these details. When you tell someone where you're from, you're opening a door to connection. People love to find common ground. They might have visited your country or know someone from there, or they might just be curious about your culture. They might ask you about the food, the music, or famous places. See it as an opportunity. If you say, I'm from Mexico, be ready for them to say, wow, I love Mexican food. What's your favorite dish? It's how we build relationships and learn about each other. So, for your origin, remember, I'm from. Country, or for more detail, I'm from. City, it's in. Country, and if you've moved, I was born in place, but I live in. Place now. Next up, let's talk about a topic that can sometimes be a little sensitive, age. In some cultures, asking someone's age is a perfectly normal, standard question. However, in many Western, English-speaking countries, it can be considered a bit personal, especially when talking to adults you don't know very well. But it's still a good thing to know how to talk about, because the topic can come up, especially if you're filling out a form or in a specific context. The most basic and direct way to state your age is, I'm years old. So, I'm 25 years old. That is grammatically perfect. But just like with your name, there's a more common, casual way to say it. Most native speakers will just say, I'm 25. It's shorter, it flows better, and it's what you'll hear most of the time. So if someone asks, "How old are you?" a very natural response is just, "I'm 32. Now, what if you don't want to give your exact number? Maybe you feel it's too specific, or you just prefer to be a bit more general. There is a fantastic way to do this. You can say, "I'm in my decade." Let me explain. The 20s are the years from 20 to 29. The 30s are from 30 to 39. The 40s are from 40 to 49, and so on. So, if you are 45 years old, but you don't want to say the exact number, you can say, "I'm in my 40s. This is a very common and polite way to answer. If you're 22, you could say, "I'm in my early 20s. If you're 28, you could say, "I'm in my late 20s. If you're 25, right in the middle, you can say, "I'm in my mid-20s. This gives people a general idea without you having to share the specific number. It's a great tool to have. As I mentioned, it's good to be careful about asking this question, especially to people who are older than you or to women in general, as it can be seen as impolite in some situations. If you're curious about someone's age, it's usually better to let them bring it up themselves. But now, if it comes up, you are fully prepared. You can say, "I'm years old," or more naturally, or for a more general answer, "I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 30s, and so on. Let's move on to another wonderful topic that helps people get to know you, your family. People might ask about your parents, or a very common question is about your brothers and sisters. The question you'll often hear is, "Do you have any brothers or sisters?" Or, "Do you have any siblings?" The word siblings is a very useful word. SBLNGS. Siblings just means brothers and sisters together. It's a great, efficient word to use. So, how do you answer? If you do have siblings, you can say, "I have number brothers and or number sisters." For example, "I have one brother and two sisters." Or maybe, "I have two brothers." Or just, "I have one sister." It's very straightforward. If you want to add a little more detail, which is always great for conversation, you can mention if they are older or younger than you. You can say something like, "I have an older brother and a younger sister." The words older and younger are perfect here. So a full, detailed answer could be, "Yes, I have two siblings. I have an older sister and a younger brother." Now, what if you don't have any brothers or sisters? There are a couple of simple ways to say this. You could say, "I don't have any brothers or sisters," or "I don't have any siblings." That's perfectly fine. But there's a special phrase in English for this situation, which is, "I'm an only child." This is a very common and natural way to express that you have no siblings. So if someone asks, "Do you have any siblings?" you can simply reply, "No, I'm an only child." It immediately tells them your situation. Another aspect of family life people might be curious about is your living situation. Someone might ask, "Who do you live with?" To answer this, you can use the simple structure, "I live with." For example, "I live with my parents." "I live with my husband and our two children." "I live with friends." Or maybe you live by yourself. In that case, you can say, I live alone, or another very common phrase is, I live on my own. Both I live alone and I live on my own mean the same thing. So don't be confused if you hear both. They are completely interchangeable. Talking about family is a great way to share more about your life, so having these phrases ready will make you feel much more comfortable. Let's quickly review. To talk about siblings, you can say I have, and add older or younger for detail, or you can say I'm an only child. To talk about your home life, you can say I live with, or I live alone or live on my own. Now, let's talk about a big one. This is one of the most common questions you will ever be asked in English. After you've met someone and you've covered the basics, they will almost always ask, what do you do? This little question, what do you do, is the standard way to ask about a person's job or, if they're a student, what they study. It's not asking what you are doing right now in this moment. It's asking about your main occupation in life. Let's break down how to answer this for both work and study. First, let's say you have a job. The simplest way to answer is, I'm your job title. Notice we use the article a or an here. So, I'm a teacher. I'm an engineer. I'm a doctor. I'm a graphic designer. It's a simple, clear, and perfect answer. But again, we want to make good conversation, right? So, you can add more details to make your answer more interesting. You can add where you work or what kind of company you work for. For example, instead of just I'm a teacher, you could say I'm a teacher. I work in a secondary school in the city. Or if you're a software developer, you could say I'm a software developer. I work for a big tech company. Or maybe I'm a nurse. I work at the city hospital. Adding that extra piece of information gives the other person more to talk about. They might ask you about the school, or the company, or what it's like to be a nurse. Now, what if you're a student? The structure is very similar. You can start by saying, I'm a student. That's a great start. To add more detail, you can say what you study or where you study. For example, I'm a student. I study English literature. Or I'm a student at the University of Cambridge. I'm studying history. You can also combine these. I'm a university student. I'm studying business and marketing. This gives a very complete picture of what you do. Sometimes, your situation might be a bit different. Maybe you're not working or you're looking for a job. You can be honest about that. You could say, I'm currently between jobs, or I'm looking for a job at the moment. If you're retired, you can say, I'm retired. The question, what do you do, is so central to introductions in English-speaking cultures because people's jobs are often a big part of their identity. So having a clear and confident answer is incredibly helpful. To recap, for your job, say I'm a job title and feel free to add where you work. If you're a student, say I'm a student and add what or where you study. This is a topic you'll use all the time, so it's a great one to practice. Finally, let's move on to something a bit more personal, but also really fun to talk about, your personality. After you've known someone for a little while, or sometimes even when you first meet, They might want to know more about what kind of person you are. The most common question you'll hear for this is, what do you like? This question isn't asking about your physical appearance. It's asking about your character, your personality traits. To answer this, you can use the very simple and useful phrase, I'm adjective. The key is just to know a few adjectives to describe yourself. Let's go through some common ones. If you enjoy being with other people and are talkative, you could say, I'm friendly, or I'm outgoing, or I'm sociable. On the other hand, if you are a quieter person who is maybe a little nervous around new people, you could say, I'm shy, or I'm quiet, or I'm a bit reserved. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just about being honest about who you are. Maybe you're a person who likes to laugh and not worry too much. You could say, I'm easygoing, or I'm laid back. If you are someone who works very hard and is very focused, you could say, I'm hardworking, or I'm dedicated. If you have a lot of new ideas and enjoy art or music, you could say, I'm creative. People are complex, right? We're not just one thing. So, you can combine these adjectives to give a more complete picture. You can use words like and, but, and quite. For example, I'm quite friendly and easygoing. Or you could show two sides of your personality. I'm generally a quiet person, but I can be very talkative when I'm with my close friends. That's a fantastic, nuanced answer that sounds very natural. Another place this question comes up is in more formal settings, like a job interview. An interviewer might ask a slightly different version of the question, like, how would you describe yourself? This is a very common interview question. For this, you would want to choose positive adjectives that are relevant to the job. You might say, I would describe myself as a hardworking and organized person. I'm also a great team player. Having a few of these personality words ready in your mind is so helpful. Think about yourself right now. What do you like? Are you funny? Serious? Adventurous? Calm? Pick 2 or 3 words that you feel really describe you. Let's practice. Maybe you're a kind person who loves to help others. You can say, I'm a very kind and caring person. Or maybe love sports and being active. I'm very energetic and adventurous. So, to talk about your personality, remember the question is, what do you like? And your answer can start with I'm, followed by one or more adjectives that describe you. So, there we have it. We've built a complete toolkit for talking about yourself. We've gone all the way from the very first thing you say, your name, to something much more personal, your personality. Let's do a very quick review of the key phrases we've learned today. For your name, my name is, or I'm. For your origin, I'm from, or I was born in, but I live in, now. For your age, I'm years old, or more casually, I'm, or more generally, I'm in my. For your family, I have number, siblings, or I'm an only child, and I live with. For your work or study, I'm your job title, or I'm a student, and remember to add those extra details. And for your personality, I'm adjective in response to what do you like? I know this is a lot of information, but the beautiful thing is that you can start small. The next time you practice your English, maybe with a language partner or even just by yourself, try to build a short paragraph introducing yourself using these phrases. Start with your name, where you're from, and what you do. For example, hello, I'm Mary. I'm from Canada, but I live in Cambodia now. I'm an English teacher. See? Just 3 simple sentences, and you've already shared a lot of information in a very natural way. From there, you can add more and more detail as you get more comfortable. Remember that when people ask you about yourself, they are genuinely interested in getting to know you. It's a sign of friendship. Every answer you give is an invitation for more conversation. Talking about yourself is a skill, and like any skill, it gets easier and more natural with practice. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every conversation is a learning opportunity. Thank you so much for joining me today on English Talking Today. I hope you found this episode helpful and that you feel a little more confident about introducing yourself in English. Your story is unique and interesting, and now you have more tools to share it with the world. I would love for you to practice. In the comments section below this video, why don't you try writing a short introduction? Just 2 or 3 sentences. I'd love to read them and get to know you, my wonderful listeners, a little bit better. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future episodes. We have so much more to talk about. Hit that little notification bell too, so you'll be the first to know when a new lesson is ready for you. Keep practicing, keep talking, and remember that every step you take is progress. I'm Mary, and I look forward to seeing you again right here on English Talking Today. Bye for now.